Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing well. The biggest reform of the country on July 29th, 2022, the government of India came amid the corona times. The national education policy, the third education policy, after a long gap, after 34 years of gap, the government of India came up with a new policy. A lot of educationalists, reformists were been telling that there is a requirement of a holistic, inclusive, sustainable educational policy. So the National Educational Policy 2020 was been unveiled, opened. So today we are going to discuss about this new educational policy or the third educational policy of the independent India. So in this particular context, I want to remember the great personality Abdul Kalam sir. I want to remember the great personality Abdul Kalam sir. He himself told once, there is a requirement of total change of the framework of Indian education system. Indian education framework needs to change completely. So after the demise of the Abdul Kalam ji, who was been dreaming about it, so at least we came now to have our own educational policy which is 21st century apt, which is focusing on vocation, which is focusing on the well-being of the students, which is not at all towards the competition, which is towards the overall growth of the students, the children of the country, the next citizens of the country. That education policy we are going to discuss. So before entering into that, Lala Lajpat Rai also told that. If you want to give anything to the society, the first thing which I want to recommend is education. Why? Because education is the only thing which is going to provide the holistic knowledge and holistic development of any individual of any country. So there is a need for a proper education, and for that we are coming with a third educational policy. Before that, I am going to explain you about the chronology of the educational commissions and educational policies of the country, independent, post-independence. Number one, University Education Commission. The first University Education Commission is been from 1948. Number two, Secondary Education Commission in 1952. Education Commission under Kotari, which is 1964. Then National Policy on Education, this is the first policy of the country, National Educational Policy on Education, 1968. Then we had 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, whereby we put this education in the congruent list. We put the education in congruent list so that the central government can make a law and state government can make a law. You know that the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act made the 7th schedule of the Constitution to be amended. It added some of the list which are present in the Union list now, which added some of the subjects in the list of Union list into the congruent list. So that now the state government and central government both will be having the equal powers to do law on the subjects which are present in the congruent list. However, practically speaking, if there is a contrary between the central government and state government, the central government will be prevailing. But to make any policy on the education from this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act onwards, the education has been placed under congruent list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. Then we have National Policy on Education 1986. So we have 1968, then we have 1986. Yes. Then Subramanian Committee report was been, this National Policy on Education was been modified in the year 1992, small amendments were been brought. Then we had a famous Subramanian Committee on Education 2016. Then recently we had Kasturi Rangan Committee in 2019. Based upon this Subramanian Committee recommendations and Kasturi Rangan Committee and the Standing Committee on Education in the Parliament, we came up with a new policy which is called as National Education Policy 2020. So this is the chronology. This is the evolution of educational policy in the country. So this is the third educational policy, and the commissions were been University Education Commission, Secondary Education Commission, Education Commission under Kotari. Then we had committees, various committees like Subramanian Committee and Kasturi Rangan Committee, and we have the policy in 1968, we had a policy in 1986, again in 2020 we came up with a policy of National Policy on Education. The first biggest reform of this National Policy on Education is going to bring is, now onwards, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development, up to now we are been calling it as Ministry of HRD, Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now onwards it will be called as Ministry of Education. The focus will be on the primary education, secondary education, as well as the graduation level education. Degree will be 4 years. Sixth onwards, 1 to 5 is called as primary education, and this primary education, they want to strive to provide the education, at least the first language should be the mother tongue wherever possible. So they want to promote the mother language till 5th class. Then 6th class onwards there will be vocational education, means skill training will be provided. So 6th class onwards we are going to have skill training, vocational training in the school curriculum. Vocational courses will be available. From 8th to 11th students can choose subjects, they can choose the subjects. No restriction, they can choose their own subjects. All graduation course will have major and minor subjects. For example, if anyone is taking science, then he can also choose minor subjects like music. He or she can also choose a minor subjects like art. He and she also can choose a minor subjects like anything it might be. So in graduation there will be minor and major. For example, science student can have physics as major and music as minor. Any combination can be possible. In that way the graduation curriculum will be there. So degree will be for 4 years, primary will be for 3 years, high school, higher secondary school, mid school, higher school, and graduation school. 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This is the new structure of our educational policy of the country, education curriculum of the country. All higher secondary education will be governed by only one authority. All the degrees, all the universities, all the private colleges will be having one particular authority, and this authority is going to govern. And this authority is going to provide the rules and regulations, uniform rules and regulations to all the graduation colleges across the country. UGC AICT will be merged. All India Council for Technical Education, University Grants Commission, both will be merged and one body will be there. Except medical education, except law education, there will be a uniform authority for controlling the higher education in the country. But for medical education there is exclusive higher authority. For law also there is exclusive higher authority. Apart from this two, all the higher education will be having a single authority, in which the UGC and AICT will be merging. All university, government, private, open, deemed, vocational, etc. will have same grading and same rules. Same grading and same rule. All the graduation course feed up of all universities will be governed by single authority with a capping on each other. So that means what? A single authority will be there. The single authority will be taking care of all the rules and regulations in this particular higher education, colleges, universities and institutions. So by which we are going to have uniformity, single structure. Teacher training is emphasized under this new educational policy. What is lacking is teacher training is lacking. So teachers are not providing quality education. The ethics, the honesty which is required in the teacher. Why? Because the teacher is a person who is responsible for grooming the next citizens of the country. So there is a requirement of teacher training. So teacher training is also emphasized. New teacher training board will be set up for all kinds of teachers in the country. No state can change. So uniform teacher training curriculum will be there. A uniform teacher training structure will be there, which will be fixed at the central level, and all the state government need to follow this teacher model. Same level of accreditation to any college. Based on its rating, college will get autonomous rights and funds. Same form of rules and regulations for all the colleges. There won't be any biasness or there won't be any unbiasedness. If they are following the rules and regulations, and if the grading is similar, as per the grading they will be getting their ranks. So uniformity will be there. Competition will be there among the colleges. When the competition is not among the students, among the colleges, then the colleges will strive for more quality education. That the new educational policy is attempting for. New basic learning program will be created by government for parents to teach children up to 3 years. Till 3 years. Very, very basic to the parents. Till 3 years. How to groom the child. How to feed the child. Anganwadi is also getting trained under this. Anganwadi workers are getting trained. Parents who are having children up to 3 years also getting trained. This is also envisaged under this particular national educational policy. In home and for preschool 3 to 6, how the preschool should be there. 0 to 3 years, how the parents and the Anganwadi workers, or 3 to 6 years, how the parents and Anganwadi workers should take care in the rural areas and in the other areas. So preschool and 0 to 3 years parents training is also envisaged under this particular policy. That means a holistic development of the child, a holistic development of the child, a sustainable development of the child. Multiple entry and exit from any course. Multiple entry and exit from any course. For example, I will tell you, if I joined for 4 years graduation course, I studied 1 year and I dropped because of some financial conditions. So what will happen? This 1 year will be waste. If I studied for 2 years, then I dropped, this 2 years will be waste. I won't get any credit. I studied for 2 years. I was been working for the 2 years for the graduation, but because of some unseen problem, I left the college. So how many years you studied, for that you will be getting a certificate. That is what a very, very important point, which will be helping the lower socially and economically backward sections, the dropouts. Credit system for graduation for each year, student will get some credits which he or she can utilize if he or she takes break in course and come back again to complete course. First year, second year, there is a break. Then for first year he will be getting vocational certificate. For second year he will be getting polytechnic certificate. Or 2 years he will be getting some credits and he can drop because of financial problem in the family. Then again he can take a break of 2 years at a workplace, working somewhere, and again he can come and continue his education. So in that way, a course. That means they made it easy. That educational curriculum mainly at the level of graduation should not be a continuity. Why? Because the student might continue, might not continue. But with respect to his continuity, he will be getting credits. With respect to credits, he will be getting some certificate. If you want to continue after the break also with the same credits, he can continue his education so that he can get the graduation certificate. Yes, this is a very good idea. All school exams will be semester wise, twice a year. All the education will be semester wise. The syllabus will be reduced to core knowledge of any subject only. There won't be anything which is not required. Why? Because we know a lot of subjects, lot of units are there in our NCERTs also, which are not required. So the core subjects will be taught. How the educational curriculum is there in Japan, how the educational curriculum is there in United States of America, we are made this particular educational policy on the same lines. More focus on student practical and application knowledge, not giving importance to theoretical knowledge, not at all giving priority for theoretical knowledge, giving importance for practical and application knowledge. No mugging up, no by-hearting, understanding it. Emphasizing on practical education, emphasizing on application oriented education, not at all on mugging up, not at all on theoretical education. For any graduation course, if students complete only 1 year, they will get a basic certificate. If he completes 2 years, then they will get a diploma certificate, as I told you. If they complete full course, then they will get a degree certificate, graduation certificate. So no year of any student will be wasted if they break the course in between. Yes, I know my students are there. Sir, because of financial problem I left. I want to continue it. It was 3-year degree course. I completed 2 years, but third year I could not continue. Then because of financial problems, I need to work at some place. I worked for 4 years. Now again I want to do graduation. How, sir? Means 2 years wasted, no? So this type of curriculum will help such a economically backward people, such a dropouts, so that they can continue their education and they can get a graduation certificate. Yes. And with respect to dropout in which year, accordingly a certificate will be provided, like a basic certificate, like a diploma certificate, finally graduation certificate. So this is about the national educational policy. The most awaited, the most 21st century apt, practical, not theoretical. And for this, sir, how the funding pattern, sir, money is important, no? How the funding pattern, Government of India in the policy also mentioned that the central government should fix 6% of GDP of its amount for funding, and every state government should also fix 6% of the funding for education. So now onward 6% of the GDP, now right now how much it is, something around 2.3%, 2.4% GDP is fixed for education.